Joined on the pregame show by Eagles coach Jon Goyens. John, club coming off a bit of a heartbreaker to Quebec, but pretty good game, I thought. What did you make of the game against the Remparts?
It was a hell of a game by us, I think. Again, we're going through these ebbs and flows of trying to figure out how we want to play on a consistent basis. And the first 8 games since the holidays and really becoming the roster that we are for the rest of the year. And everybody's starting to realize that it's all nice and dandy that we talk about wanting to make the playoffs, but you want to make the playoffs the right way. You want to make them in such a way that you're ready to compete in the playoffs. The game versus Quebec was a real eye-opening, emotional awakening, if you will, in terms of, at the end of the day, records don't beat each other. Teams beat each other. You play the game on the ice. You compete. Nobody goes 68-0. Nobody goes 0-68. You just got to give yourself a best chance every night by playing the game the right way, by wanting to play team hockey, by wanting to play give and go hockey, by taking hits to make a play, by willing to have great line changes, just managing the clock. And when the opportunities arise, you strike. And when you've got to defend hard and block shots. And I thought that was our most complete game in a long time. 6 seconds makes it disappointing in a way because we don't get a point in the standings. However, as a staff and as a team, we got to be walking away with a couple things that, A, you earn the right to be disappointed because you did everything to not just play in that game and compete, but to win. Really no negative. When you're getting phone calls and text messages from the opposing head coach saying, you guys out-competed us, to talk about how we defended. And I know people are going to look at the shot chart, but you got to also look where those shots come from. And you realize that who you're playing against, you're going to give up certain chances. And that's why you also have good goaltending. And we have 2 good goalies right now. I know I'm rambling on in a long answer on this one, but the reality is this is what they've got to bottle up. This is the new standard, and they've got to build on this and not wait to play a team that's top 10 in Canada to pull this kind of game out of them anymore.
People left the rink disappointed, but they left disappointed that the team lost, not disappointed in the team's play. I think a lot of people were very complimentary of the game Saturday. A big part of that was Charles Boutin. He started the scoring for your team. Physical player as well. What did you like about his game and how he's evolved?
That physical element that you just mentioned, I think everybody sees the flashes that Chuck can bring offensively. He's even had some flashes where he wants to bring pucks to the second post and maybe use his feet to get him to offensive opportunities a little more than just his hands. But we've been trying to encourage a lot of guys, and Chuck being one of them, that I don't care what anybody's size is. Size is, once you get on the ice, it's between your ears. That 7-0 game stung for a lot of people. Why? Because probably the first 30 minutes of the game, we played again the right way and the wheels came off and some guys got jostled around, and Chuck in that game went after a couple guys. And it's not something that we've noticed out of him too often, but it looked like he got pissed off, and it was a good pissed off. And he brought that element to the game against Quebec. And lo and behold, it's funny, when you can bring a little bit of nastiness sometimes to a skilled guy, how much more opportunities open up for you.
You talked about goaltending earlier. Just how do you feel it's evolved throughout the season, and maybe Rucci getting a chance to go when Shatney was away, World Juniors, is the best for both of them. Maybe this is the best that they've both been playing at the same time.
Yeah, we've had our challenges at times in nets. I think everybody knows that early on. And then we made the move for Schatz. And then that meant Ruch was going to be challenged more. And Ruch had this opportunity, that stretch, while Shatney was gone to the World Juniors. So it didn't always add up to 2 points in the bank. But again, when you go player by player, you're not evaluating the win based on one individual player's performance. You really got to break it down. And been getting goaltending, it doesn't mean you don't get a bad goal here and there. And it doesn't mean that there aren't areas that they're looking to improve on, which they are. But right now, Ruch's play has given us a chance to win on a nightly basis. And for the most part, the same thing with Schatz. He's only been back for a week now. But we're fully confident that we're going down to this last 28 games where on a nightly basis, we're not in a position where, and it happens to some teams, it's like, oh man, we got to go to the number 2. We don't feel like that. We feel like if they earn back-to-back starts, great. If they earn a rotation, great. They're in a position to battle it out for the net. We'll see how it'll unfold.
Talk about wanting to get into playoffs, but it's also about positioning too. You look at Bathurst team is 5 points ahead of you. How much do you watch standings at this point of the year? How much is that a motivation for the guys?
Probably the players look at it, to be honest, more than I do. I know there's a lot of people and there's a lot of talk, and it's never say never that I don't look at them. But I'd be honest, if I coach the standings, this team's going to be in trouble. I'm not going to be doing the right job. When you coach based on the standings, what you're doing is coaching based on past results, because it's the past results that determine those points in the standings. It's not today, tomorrow, and the next day. It's stuff that's happened previously. So being 4 or 5 points behind this team, or 1 or 2 points ahead of that team, or this, that, and the next thing, really it's going to become even more and more cliche for us that it's got to be a game by game, day by day, practice by practice, meeting by meeting type of mentality of getting better, being more accountable to each other, trying to outcompete on a nightly basis our opponents. And yeah, the goal is everybody wants to be in a certain ranking, so to speak. But I've always cautioned my teams, never hope that you play or don't play a certain team, because expectations are just resentments waiting to happen at times. And if you hope not to play a team and then you catch them, you're probably half defeated already.
You talk about the past, it feels like a long time since these teams have played, over 2 months, which is weird for teams in the same division. Based on what you know, Bathurst made some moves as well. What type of game do you see from them tonight?
I think they're going to be hard. I think they brought in some guys that wanted some bigger opportunities. Obviously some big name players, as we all know, we don't even have to name them, have gone out of the lineup. So it's a little bit of a next man up opportunity for guys, a lot of minutes that are up for grabs for young guys, a good core of 17 to 19-year-olds right there for them that, listen, they've got some big body presence. They've got a good PK. Their power play is obviously going to change without unmentioned players that were sought after. But the reality is, just like what we realized against Quebec, the game's going to be played. It's going to be 20 minutes at a time, and all those cliches are going to come out, but cliches exist for a reason. We've got to live in a cliche-filled environment right now and embrace that hard work, and embrace that grind, and then so be it.
They're a team that sold off, so to speak, but they still have some quality players on their team. Look forward to tonight's game. Best of luck, John. Thanks for this.